warm welcome to all of you and a heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for liking, subscribing our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions. If you haven't subscribed to our Spotify channel, please do so that you can listen to all the videos in the audio form anytime, any place. Today we have Vastu expert Vishal Sharma ji joining us. Warm welcome to you, Vishalji.
Thank you, Nurali.
So, what is the topic that we are going to cover in our discussion today, Vishalji?
So today, I think we are going to continue the series what we have been doing in the past from the past series. But today, the topic is more about how do we recognize a house by looking at that and then see what does that represent or what type of energy is being represented by that house, and we'll connect with the astrology to say, okay, this house represents Saturn, so there is a prominent energy of Saturn in that house, which will help you in analyzing the problem for that person.
Right.
Okay, so this slide I have just put it. I'm sure we will discuss in future discussions as well. What I wanted to highlight that there are two ways to do Vastu, right? One is the traditional way of doing Vastu, which is basically analyzing the 5 elements and the balancing the 5 elements and its energy, right? And that concept is obviously used by Feng Shui and traditional Chinese medicine and in traditional Vastu, where we look at the 5 elements, we look at the 45 devtas, 8 or 16 directions, and then there's 24 to 32 entrances. And then we plot a 9 to 9 grid in Vastu. We do a 3 by 3 grid in Feng Shui, right? So that's a pure concept of balancing the 5 energy in Vastu. That's traditional Vastu. Whereas nowadays, some people have made popular Astro Vastu, which they think this is something new, but the thing is that it is not new. It is always present there. It's just that people were not aware that astrology dictates Vastu. It's not Vastu dictates, astrology drives Vastu. So you can actually correlate Vastu with astrology, which is now called as Astro Vastu. But through the lens of the astrology, you can actually fine tune your remediation or fine tune the analysis of your problem, and you can put another lens. So Vastu is one way of doing it, and then you bring astrology on top of it to give you a second perspective or fine tuning the problem analysis and then remediating that path. And so in that way, you can use the Vedic astrology, which is our traditional. Then you can use the KP style, who are people who are conversant in KP, they can use KP. And some people are fond of Lal Kitab. Yes, Lal Kitab can also be used because Lal Kitab has prescribed a Makan Kundli as well, so you can do that. And out of all that, one of the favorite thing is the Prashna, which never fails as long as you have a good intentions behind it. Prashna will help you to analyze the problem even before entering your client's house. You can cast a Prashna, and Prashna will tell you where the problem is, and then you can match that problem with what your client is saying.
So that's a very beautiful way of looking at. First, you get before you enter the house, you understand what the problem is beforehand, and you can correlate. Once the person because you're forearmed, so you understand what the person is trying to say, and you can correlate with the Prashna. And that's a very beautiful. And it does since you practice Vastu on homes and you see it every day. So does in your experience, has it matched with not just the Prashna, what the problem the person is saying, and with the with the geography or the topography of the home or whatever the layout of the home, as you would want to call it?
So your KP chart, even your Vedic chart or the Makan Kundli actually tells you where the problems are. So for example, I think once we go to the houses, I might give an example to touch on that.
Right. So we begin with the houses, the type of houses that we're going to check out today.
Okay, so this slide actually talk about the Jupiter house. The intention here is to showcase that we have got 9 planets, right, and 7 plus 2, and each planet represents different energy, as we know in astrology. Similarly, each planet being represents a different energy as far as the Vastu is concerned. Even though in the Vastu chakra, each planet has got its own direction. But by looking at the house, you should be able to tell what is the prevalent source of energies in that house. And depending upon who that person is, who you are dealing with, whether that energy will actually suit him according to his chart. But you should be able to look at that person and should tell, okay, if, say, for example, a person who is a little bit bulky and living in that house, you know that there is a lot of Jupiter, and the energy in the house is driven by Jupiter because that person has put on weight. Right. A house which is predominantly a sun house, that person will never be bulky. He will always be slim. He cannot put on weight. So if you want to lose a weight, don't stay in a Jupiter house, go into a sun house, right? And that's one way of doing it.
Right.
But the idea is that you should be able to look at the house, the environment, and tell what is the prevalent energy. So to understand how that works, so for example, what are the significations of a Jupiter house, where you see and say, okay, this is a Jupiter house. So the main thing about the Jupiter house is that the house is actually built on a wooden frame. The house which is built on wooden frame is primarily a house which is representing the energy of Jupiter. It will have a lot of windows, which means the airflow will be very nice. So you will have a lot of airflow. If you look at the sun house, you will have a lot of sunlight. A house which has a lot of sunlight means it has a lot of sun energy. Even in the dark, if you have a lot of lights, you have put on a lot of light in the house, that means there is a lot of sun energy in there, right? But in case of Jupiter, we are looking at a house which is made of wood, wooden frames, have a lot of windows. That is a Jupiterian house. Then the other thing is people living in the house are primarily preachers, teachers, teaching, or traditional teaching. They might be teaching Sanskrit. The other thing to look at is that you might not have a wooden frame structure house, but you have a Gurukul besides your house. So that energy, because the environment is also influencing your house, so you will have a Jupiterian energy, right? So you might have a Gurukul nearby your house, or a school where Sanskrit is taught, or a traditional science is taught, right? The other thing is that people who are living in this house will find they will have plants or trees which actually trees which have fruits on them, right? So for example, banana is normally not used in a house, but you will have some other fruit trees which are in that surrounding environment. Or some people actually put fruit trees as bonsai within their house. They will put a lot of bonsais as a small grafted trees within the house, but they are all fruit, and they will be giving some fruits to you. The other one is that people living in the house which has got a predominant Jupiter energy, they will always have a issue with digestive system. They will always have a bulky body. And when we say in the Vastu chakra, the center of the house, which is the Brahmasthan, is where the Jupiter energy is, right? That's where Brahm is, right? So that's where, so you will find that that people living will have a sweet voice as well. The voice is also sweet. Their face is very charming. You can see their face is very happy and charming, but their body will be a little bit bulky. So that's how you look at a house. Look at the natives living in the house and tell, okay, this house belongs to somebody where the energy is of predominantly is for Jupiter. Now, if you link it with the astrology, so the way to do it is that, okay, I want to see what is your home environment by looking at your chart without even going to your house. So I will go and look at your D4 and look at the 4th house. So if the Jupiter is sitting in the 4th house, I would say, okay, either your house is nearby a Gurukul, either you have a lot of furniture within your house which is of wood, or you have a house which is actually built on wooden structure. So out of 3 or 5 significations, one signification will definitely match when you have Jupiter in the 4th house. In D4. Similarly, you can apply the same principle in D10. Using D10 is the 4th house is your office environment. This is what will happen. The chair you are sitting in the office will be primarily made of wood, or the table you are sitting in the office is wood, or your colleagues nearby sitting you, or the furniture in your house in your office is wood. Or if you don't have that, then the walls of your room will be yellow. It has to match. The moment you say 4th house Jupiter in D10, it is representing Jupiter. It has to represent either of these things. So that's how you link. That's how you link with that. Sometimes you will find that I don't have that. Then I say, okay, what do you have on your table? Have you put some fruit trees? Have you put a picture of fruit trees? I did a consultation with somebody. They said, I don't have a fruit. I don't have a wooden furniture. I don't have this. But then I asked, what have you on your desktop nearby? He said, I've got pictures of mango tree, banana tree, apple tree. I said, I love fruits, and I also keep some fruits nearby me. So I said, look, that's where the energy is influencing. You always carry that. So that's how you look at the Jupiter, right? Similarly, if we go to Saturn's house, the way to look at Saturn's house is the house which are primarily made of stone. The stones which are found in mountains. That's where the house is built by using those stones. Is primarily represents the energy of Saturn. The other thing about Saturn's house is that they are not very well lit, so their lighting is pretty bad. There you will find them there. When you go there, sometimes you feel a little bit scared. You're not feeling very happily. You don't want to go happily into that house. You feel scared. You're reluctant to go into that house. The lighting arrangement is not that good. The surrounding walls or the boundary walls, you will often find them, they are broken or something is wrong with that. You will also find the plants which are barren plants, which doesn't have any fruits or not even flowers. So for example, in India, in Rajasthan and even Punjab, I've mentioned about kikar, even khajur, dates, right? Even though dates is actually regarded as a Saturn plant. So that represents Saturn's energy. A lot of Saturn's energy come from that. Furniture made of iron or stainless steel in your house represent that you have a lot of Saturn's energy in there. The other thing about that, the moment you should be able to look at Saturn house is that you will have one or two people who are disabled in the house. It's not a good, it's not a good way of saying that, but that is how it represents. When you go in somebody's house and you see one or two people who are disabled, then the Saturn's energy is prevalent in there. Or if you have a servant room or a domestic help room and they are staying with you and using that room or that premises or that surroundings, then the Saturn's energy is increasing. So nowadays, people want to buy a house is 3-bedroom plus with domestic help. That's a lot of trend nowadays, right? But by doing that, you are influencing Saturn's energy. If your Saturn is not well placed in your chart, then that might be a problem for you, right? So that is one way of looking at it. If your domestic help is staying with you, you are enhancing the energy of Saturn. So if another way you want, there are two ways to do the remedy. One is to avoid it, then you don't keep a domestic help. But if you want to enhance the energy, then you keep a domestic help and look after the domestic help. That way you're looking after the Saturn. So now if you bring that back into your astrology, saying, okay, I want to see if you have Saturn sitting in your fourth house, then you know that either you have a lot of servants in your house, either you have an environment which has got a lot of furniture which is made of iron. Even your bedroom or your double bed might have been made of iron. Predominantly iron or stainless steel items will be found in that house. A lot of dark places in your house. For example, kitchen area might be dark, or your storeroom is very dark. You don't have proper lighting. And then same can be applied back into your office area as well, that you might be sitting on a chair or an environment.
So I'm just taking a minute of here and asking you a question, Vishalji. So the question here is, if the Saturn energy is weak and we have a servant at home, generally in India, we do have this principle. People do have a live-in staff, and even abroad, I see that some people do employ a live-in staff.
Yes, they do.
So it's not always that that energy is bad, but we can, by helping the staff, giving the right kind of a salary, and taking care of it properly, that also helps to fortify the Saturn energy, does it not?
That's why I was saying in the earlier, it works both the ways. If your Saturn energy is bad, then you might want to you better be careful. But if you want to enhance your Saturn energy, you want to make it favorable for you, then you better employ these people and look after these people.
Right. That's a beautiful one. So we move on to another planet that is generally very right.
People are scared of Rahu. I don't know why, but people are. People are also scared of Saturn. I normally say, don't be scared of Saturn. Saturn is probably the only planet which fulfills its promise, because Saturn means delay but not denial. Saturn will never deny anything, but it delays it because it is so far. It works according to its own time. But with Rahu, yes, there is a fear, and that fear is, it's a demon, so it does create a lot of problems, and it is a planet of illusion as well. But when it comes to Vastu, how do you recognize when you look at a house and see, okay, this house represents the energy of Rahu? So one classical one which we always look at is that you have, like in India, I've seen houses where dogs, street dogs roam around, and then they will dig a hole and they will sit there. When you have an environment like that where dogs are coming and sitting and even barking and spending time there, digging hole there, that is a classical sign that this premise or this house is now being influenced by Rahu's energy. Another one is sewage. You have got garbage bin nearby, or you have sewage nearby. That is another, because it actually generates foul smell. And that foul smell is nothing but enhances the energy of Rahu. So if your environment is like that, that airflow with that foul smell will come into your house and will activate Rahu. The other one is the seepage. The water coming into your walls. That seepage is represented by Rahu. And I think I mentioned earlier as well that taps not closing properly and the dripping of water. Yes, that is wasting water, but that also creates problem, or that actually harms your moon, because water is moon. But on top of that, it actually influences Rahu's energy. That dripping of water is nothing but influencing the Rahu's energy. So that's something we should always stop. If your taps are flowing, even after closing it, you must fix them, right? So I've seen that specifically in India as well. There is another thing which I've seen is that nowadays people use, at least in North, I've seen they use this RO plant to filter the water, and then RO will have a pipe which will have a residual water. The wastage water keeps flowing, right? That is actually not good. I mean, these are all new mechanics which we use, but that flowing water is also not good, because you're wasting water, right? Even though it is not a clean water, because RO has just filtered it, but it is actually not good. So I normally don't say that you should actually use RO plant as such. Use another filtering mechanism, but not RO. Anyway, I mean, that's beside the point, but it is not a good way of
so we can so here generally what happens is people do use RO water, because that's purified way of us. You can use the water that is coming out from the RO water as using it in your plants or gardens. As a result, is that you're saving that water instead of wasting it up.
I've seen people don't use that the water which goes out, filtered water. So you have filtered water, and then the water which is the wasted one, or the one which is not pure, that goes through the outlet and that gets wasted. So that is not a good one.
Yeah. So exactly, if you can save that water and then you can use that, then it is.
So that way you can tackle the moon problem as well. You're not wasting water, you're not harming your moon, and also you are saving the water, and you're not letting the water keep dripping all the time. So that is another way. The other thing about the Rahu's influence is that when the Rahu's influence is there in the house, you will also find the couple is actually always fighting. The husband and wife, and the prominent example of that, they will be happy or they will be okay when they are in the living room and the kitchen room, but the moment they enter in the bedroom, something will happen and trigger something, and they will start fighting the moment they enter in the bedroom. When you see that they fight in the bedroom, but they are not fighting anywhere else, Rahu is active in that house. This is a classical example of analyzing. When somebody comes to me and say, I've got this problem, when they are fighting in the bedroom, that is Rahu's energy is active. That is a classical example. The other one is, which is also related with, in astrology, we say it is also related with Pitra Dosh as well, is that people actually fight for no reason. For some reason, the fight will erupt. Choti baaton pe, for some tiny matter, for a very trivial matter, people will start fighting in the house. And every day there will be some discussion, some fighting. That is actually a classical example that Rahu's energy is getting active. You know that the Rahu is getting active, so you better tackle that, right? People abuse a lot. People use a lot of foul language. A lot of foul language comes in. People living in those houses where Rahu's energy is active, their language becomes very foul. So that's something, they get addicted to gambling. So when you go to a house and somebody says, my husband is addicted to gambling, my husband is addicted to alcohol, then you know that you must tackle Rahu's energy here, because that energy is showing me that Rahu is active in that house, or Rahu is imbalanced, right? Rahu's energy is imbalanced. Addiction and gambling, they are the other two things, right? In terms of animals, these people love reptiles and snakes. You will often find that, or they have some inclination towards animals, not just snakes, but they will have some inclination towards animals. For example, Ketu people will love having dogs. Yeah. So if you have a dog in the house, you know that Ketu's energy is active in the house, right? But Rahu is different. So Rahu is a little bit different, but they will have some inclination toward reptiles, or for example, I've seen
eagles, birds also.
Correct. They will have some inclination toward animals, right? Another one for Rahu's energies, like when you go and look at some people have their temples in a almirah, not on a floor,
but yeah, which is up there in the height. Yes, on a height.
Correct.
Yes.
That represents there is a Rahu's energy in that house, is active in that house. Now,
so
I'm not saying
that's easy to remedify, isn't it? Because you can ask the person to just lower it and put it on the floor and not have anything above that, but then put it there. So, and pray after sitting down. So don't you think that is good?
That I'm saying, for everything there is a good thing and a bad thing. If your Rahu is 3, 6, 10, 11 placed, well placed, then you want to enhance Rahu's energy and get in. But if Rahu's energy is imbalanced, right? So it might be causing you some trouble. Then you might want to see, okay, what is the trouble? For example, addiction, gambling, that is not desirable, right? So then you want to tackle that Rahu's energy. But if you're doing well, if everything is okay, they're not complaining, but everything is saying, okay, there is Rahu is active, but everybody seems to be happy, nobody is complaining, then you don't have to do anything else. Okay, things are working, but you want to rectify other things. Whatever the negative things you see, you want to rectify them.
Just a question here, Vishalji. So, as you said, if it's balanced, it's all right. But even if it is more and it is active, then also there is an imbalance. Ati sarvatra varjati. Anything in excess is poison.
Correct.
So, so now if this imbalance we need to tackle, then flooring the puja spot, or making sure that there is, as you have, the animals are well fed and they're not, they're not caged or they're not tortured.
Correct.
Or any sewage around your house. All these things are kind of changed and worked on. Then obviously the Rahu factor will become balanced or probably good enough for us to work or operate on.
One, actually, I forgot to mention the wooden frame, which is your entrance of the frame, entrance of your door. If that is rotten, specifically if it is a wooden frame, it is rotten. That is a classical example that Rahu is active here, and that Rahu is imbalanced here. That is a classical example, right? I'll put a picture there. Now, I don't know if you notice that when people actually go to temple, or when in the olden days, even in Japan, I know.
You have to on the chaukhut or on the frame, you have to first bow down and you have to, pay your respect there.
Obeisances and respect, and put your forehead. The reason you do forehead is because this is regarded as Mars. This is the energy of Mars. So the moment you touch the energy of Mars onto the wooden frame, that means because Mars can control Rahu, right? Mars has the energy to control Rahu. So the moment you do that, you are actually controlling the energy of Rahu. That's why in the olden days, when they used to enter the house, even in the kitchen, if you're entering the kitchen floor, they bow down. Similarly, when you go to the temple, they always say you are taking away the energy of Rahu and bringing the Mars energy by bowing down in front of the temple's door. So when you go to the temple, you always bow down and you put your forehead, because you are doing you're using the Mars energy to destroy Rahu. Yeah, that's a very good remedy. That's a very good remedy to control Rahu.
We always on the chaukhut or on the door, right at the threshold, that is we call it, on the threshold of any room. What we do is we put our hands and then we put it here on our forehead. So we kind of transferring that energy into a beautiful energy.
Yes, and the other way to control the energy of Rahu is using camphor. You can put the cubes of camphor on the corners. Normally, the corners are also known as the Lakshmi Sthan. Every corner. The only thing about the camphor is it is inflammable, so you have to be careful. But you can do that. And Rahu is being a snake, and snake lives on a sandalwood tree. So we always advise people to use incense sticks of sandalwood on the right hand and the left hand side of the door. That can be on the outer side or the inside. But Rahu, right means Rahu and left is Ketu. So if you can put on the right side as well as on the left hand side, but you can put a sandalwood incense stick to control that. I mean, there are ways you can do that. These are more combining the astrology and Vastu. But then if Rahu is imbalanced, then you look at your southwest corner, the northeast to southwest axis, and trying to balance your earth element, and also look at the air element, because air is the one which controls earth. So you need to look at both the elements and see how they are actually working. The one thing which I mentioned about husband and wife fighting, that's a classical example. So you better go and look at your southwest corner, where the Rahu is, right?
Right.
And unnecessary fighting is as well, because remember in the 45 Devta scheme, it's the Pitris which are in the southwest corner, which is where Rahu is. So that's why when we go and look at people say, we keep fighting for some trivial things, that the Pitris are on that southwest corner is not balanced. Something is wrong. Rahu is getting active and your Pitris are not happy.
Right.
And in Vastu, put the photos of the Pitris actually in the southwest corner. We always ask your Pitri's photos or your ancestors' photo in the southwest corner. So that's how we know if the fighting is happening or something is in that Rahu's energy is active.
Right. And finally, before we leave, you have mentioned about faulty electronic gadgets.
Correct. Yes. So the other one is we didn't discuss that when you go and see electrical items which are faulty, that represents Rahu. So if you're for example, one of the classical example I give is that I've seen people's refrigerators start making too much noise in the night. Too much noise. There is no reason why it has to make noise, right? But when it makes noise, then there is something wrong. Rahu's energy is there. Similarly, your bulb or tube lights are not working properly, or you're getting a short circuit. Often you're getting short circuit. Now that reminds me, somebody actually told me, I haven't done that, but somebody mentioned to me that when your refrigerator is making too much noise, right? And we discussed about the forehead. You go and bow down in front of the refrigerator and please say, Rahu Devta, please be happy, don't make much noise. I don't know if it works or not, but some people have told me that if you bow down in front of a refrigerator, it seems to work. How true is that? I don't know. But I have been told that if you bow down and use Mars energy in front of a refrigerator, which is making a noise, it does work. But
we can also call the electrician. We can also call the person engineer for the refrigerator. That's another one. That is also representing Mars. Mars Saturn has to be active in his chart also.
Correct.
So that's a beautiful one. But jokes apart, we can always see that. And yes, this has been a beautiful description on getting how to understand the house very beautifully without really actually going into it. And we can into the the description of the house, or just by environment we can understand. And instead of doing a very intricate Vastu study, we can do that. Also, the remedial measures that you suggested are so beautiful. They're small, they don't cost much, but they make life much comfortable and on track, which is all that we all want in life nowadays. So thank you so much, Vishalji. Yes, please.
Just before we wrap up, one thing, right? Rahu's house, people will use foul language, right? And secondly, the whole thing about Vastu and astrology, and specifically in Vastu, when you go and look at somebody's environment, you have to map every environment. And so taking these observations, how a person behaves, how their environment is, what is the color, this mapping actually helps you in analyzing the problem. So this is a part, learning this is a part of your journey so that you can analyze a problem. So mapping is very important in Vastu. Without mapping these environmental things, it will be very tough to get the root cause of your problem.
This is a beautiful thing that we've done with you today, Vishalji. So we wish to continue further on with you on many such topics till we meet with you again. Thank you so much, Vishalji.
Thank you, Nurali. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.